Hello and welcome to Stardew Valley in Minecraft, a new series where I build the world of Stardew Valley in Minecraft, one area at a time. Last week we got a massive start on the mountain lake area, and I am talking of course of these beautiful mountains that you can see behind me, and the lake and the waterfalls and all of these beautiful trees. However, one of you pointed out something that I also was thinking about, but I didn't quite know how to put it. And it's with the trees all the way in the back. If we look at it from a little bit of a different angle, you can see a bit better what I mean. Just as the comment points out, these trees in the back are quite big compared to the mountain, and the suggestion that I really like is to make these trees in the back a little bit smaller. And this achieves two things. One, it'll make these trees look like they are further away from us, and two, it'll make the mountain a bit bigger compared to the trees. So I think that is perfect and is exactly what we need. Of course, later down the line we'll have a few trees in the back as well that I'll poke out just a little bit and give a little bit more backdrop. And of course here on the right we'll have a bit more going on. But for now I think that is an excellent suggestion. So before we do anything, I think I take down some of those trees and make them a lot smaller. Alright, and there we have it, some smaller trees, and I think the effect already shows, especially if you look over here, you can see it very clearly. That looks so far away, right? And then if we try and look at it with a different angle, you can see it a little bit more clearly. I think it works out quite nicely now, where these trees just look a little bit further away, a little bit smaller, making the mountain poke out just a little bit more. So thank you once again for the suggestion. Yep, I am still loving the view from down here. It is really quite nice. Now down here, of course, we have the Carpenter, or at least the location of where the Carpenter is supposed to go. That is what I'll be doing in today's episode. So I am gonna go ahead and gather some materials. However, for today's build, I don't think I'll need to gather a whole lot because I still have a bunch of materials in storage from last time. So let's see how many I will need to actually gather. I chop some trees, I strip some logs, and that's it, we're done. This time around we're doing only one building with some redstone, so it is not a huge amount of resources at the very least, but I think it's time we start building. So once again I ask you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. And there it is! What a beautiful building in this location, I love it! And yes, I know, the roof is not blue, but where in Minecraft have you seen blue slabs or stairs? I mean, I have no idea. So I decided to go with this tuff instead, and I really like it actually. Now of course, this building comes with a few different parts. Here in the back we have the lab, then of course here in the middle we have the main building, and then to the right we have a garage. Now, I will show you that I actually did give this an interior, and I tried to build a bike. It is of course a little bit small, and therefore it's lacking a lot of details, but I am actually really happy with that. Now, when it comes to the main building, I decided to go with birch for the details, and then the main color I kept it relatively brown, with the spruce and some brown concrete powder. And some of the darker patches I used some oak logs and some coarse dirt. And it came out quite nicely, I must say. I also am very happy with the roof. I added a few darker patches, like if we zoom out with FreeCam, you'll see a couple of darker patches here with some deep slate, and most of it is a bit of mossy and some tough bricks or just regular tough. Now, if you look at the layout for the interior, you'll see that the labs is actually located to the right of the shop, but I thought it made a lot of sense for the lab to be in this separate building. Like, what else would be in this separate building? And since we also have this telescope out here, I think it made a lot of sense for the lab to be right here in the backyard. So let's go ahead and go in there really quickly to show you some of the interior. I kept it nice and clean with a little bit of a detail of this nice cyan at the bottom. And I tried to make some sort of a microscope. And here we have like a lab bin or something like that. And yeah, all of these little tools and some very clean environment. And I've used the androids as lighting in here. This is just a very clean room, basically. And I think it could be a lab. I don't know what else could be in here, but it seems like there is a lot of room to do research. Now, when we go to the main building, of course, we enter immediately into the shop. And you'll notice there is a lectern right here. And this is, of course, where the shop interface will be. And I'll get back to that once we are done with the interior tour. Now, here in the back, I decided to add the kitchen. I mean, I kept it mostly the same as all of the other kitchens, and you know, it's nice. I added some windows here in the back and on the side, makes this room nice and bright. Then when we go upstairs, we have two rooms. We have one of the bedrooms, which is Maru's bedroom. I put a little map on the wall of the community center, and you can see the paths, and you can even see the mountain lake over here, which I think is pretty fun. And then here we have the PC for her. We have the bed. I tried to make some sort of robots with some item frames and stuff. It looks really silly. It doesn't really look like a robot, but I guess, you know, this is as much as we can do with these tiny blocks. Then when we go to the other room, this is of course the main bedroom for Demetrius and Robin. And they got some TV and maybe another computer in here. A little bit open, we got some books. This is the big window where we can look outside, and currently we don't really have anything to look at. And then of course here we have the window at the back. We're just gonna look at another mountain at some point, right? We can't see the mountains on the side, but there will be probably another one in the back. And then last but not least, we can go downstairs into the basement. This is where Sebastian's room is, and I try to keep it nice and dark, right? Really make it feel like his room, where I think he just wants some darkness. And also with the theme, I was able to use some of the paintings that I haven't been able to use in other rooms of other villagers, because who is going to have a skull on their walls? I mean, Sebastian, for sure. So I felt like these were very much his kind, same as the spider one over here. Now here on the side, we've got the two PCs, the nice big dark couch. Then here we got sort of a gaming table. I'm imagining this being some sort of a D&D campaign or some other kind of board game. So I dropped a map in here of the current area, and then these could be some board game pieces. And then of course here we got a TV by his bed. So I'm very happy with the vibe of this room. It's very different than most of the other rooms. Now, of course, we have the interaction here, because this isn't just a house and a place to live for these people. No, this is also a shop where in the game you can go ahead and buy upgrades, either for your house or for new buildings on your farm. And in Stardew Valley, you can place those yourself. You can decide where they go on the map. And of course, we can't really do that in Minecraft. I'm going to be building them statically in a future episode. And with this, you're going to be able to unlock them. So for example, here, it explains to you a little bit how it works. And then of course, each page represents a single upgrade that you can do. And so you'll select which upgrade you want. So for example, here you buy the barn. It costs 300 gold, 3 stacks of oak logs, and 64 cobblestone. And then we can enter or exit the barn. We can from then on purchase some cows, and we can also access the cows inside of the barn. And this way, oh, I am realizing something now that I have completely forgotten to put in here. And also, I didn't really put this in the redstone because the barn is an unlock, but the big barn and the deluxe barn are basically upgrades that come after it. And you shouldn't be able to purchase the deluxe barn right away. That would be kind of a problem because you will not be able to access this at all. So I think what I need to do is maybe put a light. Maybe I'll put it over here. The light will then show you whether or not you can currently purchase that upgrade. And I will have to put in here in the book some information about what is required to upgrade. So I think maybe this general information, since I have an extra lectern here, maybe I put some general information on how the shop works in there and then keep this mainly for just upgrades. Okay, I think I will put a few extra systems in. Oh, and another thing that I'm just thinking of is that all of my shops make sounds when you purchase something. However, this one isn't currently not doing that. So when you make a purchase, you have no idea when it's done. Okay, yeah, it seems like I have a little bit of work to do. I will go ahead and add that redstone feature that I mentioned, the lamp and the sound, and then I will update the books, and then I will meet here in just a moment to explain a little bit further about these upgrades. Phew, there we go. I just updated the redstone a little bit, and now I also updated the books. So now in this book, it explains a little bit about how to purchase something and when you can purchase something. So for example, if this light over here is on, that means you can purchase whatever is the current selected option. And if it's off, then that either means you've already purchased it before, or you cannot purchase it yet. And it also mentions that when you throw your items in, since some of these purchases require quite a bit of items, like for example this one, House Upgrade 3, requires 1500 gold. Now for all of that to go through the system, that will take a bit of time, so I ask of you to be patient when you put your items in here, and of course you'll have to wait a bit. And also mentions that you'll hear a ding after it is complete, and then you're safe to leave and go about your day again. Now, what upgrades do we have? Of course, in Stardew Valley, the first time you upgrade your house, you unlock the kitchen. Now, the kitchen will be the place where you're going to be making the majority of the foods that you can already make in Minecraft. Think about the beetroot soup, the pumpkin soup, cakes, and all of this kind of stuff. Even bread. Then for House Upgrade 2, you unlock some extra room. This is not really anything functional, the same as Stardew Valley. It's mostly decorative, so this will not really serve any purpose except for, you know, some aesthetics and being able to just unlock everything. And then for the third one, in Stardew Valley, the wine cellar does have something functional because you can make your wine here. However, in Minecraft, we don't have wine, so I'm not yet sure if this is going to have any purpose in the game whatsoever, but it is a thing that is there, so I suppose we can do something with this. And then of course we have a few buildings that will be outside of the player's house. Those buildings will already be there, and you'll unlock them by building them here. One of them is the barn, one of them is the coop, another one is the shed, and the last one is the stables. Now the stables is one where you unlock a horse, and you'll be able to travel around with this horse. So, like it says here, you can now enter an... Oh wait, I should rename this a little bit. Let's go ahead and rename this. Alright, there we go. Now it's a little bit clearer. So for the stables, like I said, you'll get the stable, which is already a building present on the farm, but you'll be able to enter it. And there'll be a horse in there that you can ride, and now you'll be able to travel around the world a little bit quicker. Then for the shed, this is actually a pretty important building. Normally in Stardew Valley you'll be able to build craftable systems, like for example the cheese press or the mayonnaise maker or the recycling machine. And additionally, for Minecraft, I decided to make a crafter, and this is going to be a system where you're gonna have to throw in a number of items to create some simple items, like for example a bucket. This will be one of the main ways that you're going to be crafting some of the items needed for the community center. And so the shed will be quite an important unlock, because that will give you some of these systems. Of course, most of these are unlocked through the community center, and so one by one you'll start unlocking those systems in the shed, but you'll need access to the shed to begin with. Then for the other two buildings, the coop and the barn, this is where you'll unlock animals. In the barn, you'll unlock cows, goats, and pigs and sheep, respectively, for each upgrade. You will have to actually purchase the animals separately at Marnie's place, just like in Stardew Valley. And then for the coop, we have white chickens, brown chickens, and rabbits. Now, of course, in Stardew Valley, the big coop doesn't unlock chickens again. You'll have access to brown and white chickens at the beginning already, and they're kind of the same thing. However, there is no ducks in Minecraft, so the second upgrade would then kind of be useless, so I decided to split them up and give you a reason to unlock to the second tier regardless. So I think that solves it quite nicely. We have two types of chickens, two types of eggs. There is of course a third type of chicken that I'm kind of disregarding here, but we're not going to be bothering with those. So that's kind of how I'm doing this. Most of these upgrades require a type of wood, gold, and some stone or basalt in this case, or sometimes cobblestone, which are of course the three tiers of the mine. And heartwood I have decided to replace with sticks. So yeah, that is a lot of explanation to do. So I hope that you're not too tired of that, and I hope that the system makes sense. Of course, it's not very visual, and I'm sure I'll go over this again once we start to actually build all of these buildings. Now, to show you a very quick view of my redstone, let me show you what I've done. So for example, here we have house upgrade number 1. Once you've selected it, it will unlock the hoppers, and we'll have these two classic Impulse SV item filters. This filters your items through, and once both of these are full, these lights will go off, signaling this one to go on, signaling a purchase has been made. That will then unlock this purchase for in the future, and it will also unlock the next one. Once the next one is selected, this one will be unlocked to buy, etc, etc. So that's how this whole system works. We have this hopper line here in the middle where your items will go through. They are dropped in here with a very simple dropper setup. They are dropped in this little water stream. I did try making it a water stream all the way through, but I did notice that very, very rarely an item would be flowing over the hoppers and not be picked up. So I kind of wanted to avoid that and making sure that if you throw in the items that you need for the upgrade, that they will actually go to the upgrade that you selected. Not to, you know, make it so that, oh, I threw in 3 stacks of logs, but somehow the purchase didn't go through and one of your logs ended up somewhere else. Now, luckily this is a bit of a simpler system than some of my previous ones, but it is always a lot of fun to tinker around with this kind of complex redstone. And with that, our total percentage of the mountain lake is going up to 70% done. And as the sun is setting, we can actually get a nice view of this place in the night. And I think this is also a perfect time to talk about what's next, because I think next time it's time we delve into the mines. Yes, that's right, we're going to be digging a little bit more, and yeah, this is going to be an interesting system as well, because I am thinking of many different layers of the mine and auto regeneration of the mine as well. So that's going to be fun. It's going to be a pretty redstone heavy episode, I imagine, because it's not going to be a very pretty build. So I'll have to see if I want to couple it in the same episode as the Adventurers Guild. I'll have to see, maybe not. There might be a lot for one episode. But yeah, you'll then be able to go into the mines and gather a bunch of resources there. It'll be our first actual big resource collection system. Oh, and I just remembered that I will eventually also have to build a bunch of artifact spots all around this world. It's gonna be a lot of work still ahead of us, but we're chucking away at it one area at a time. So once again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you in the next episode. And with the end of this episode, I would like to remind you that if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, because that helps us reaching the subscriber goal and possibly unlock Ginger Island as an extension to this series. Once again, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you in the next video.